Welcome to another session of Lunch and Learn. So today let's look at some of the panel card properties and user-defined items. Over the past couple of weeks, Erin and Caitlin have been going over about the components, the widgets, and all that. Today, let's focus a little on what the user-defined components are and some of the properties for the panel card. So a panel card is one of the main components of the application page, like anything and everything that you want to put. Usually there's a panel card and then we put in text boxes or buttons or anything inside that. So you can drag and drop those components and put it in your on your page. So if you let's take like an example of an order entry screen. The main screen, we can see that it's a panel card wherein we have all our fields, our drop downs or buttons or anything inside this panel card. We have to put it for the Kinetic screen. And some of the basic properties are the ID and the title. The ID is really important because if you have to do anything with the with this panel card, let's say you want to hide a particular panel card or something like that, based on this ID is where we can use one of the widgets to hide it and things like that. And some of the other properties are your behavior, wherein you can either put in some additional events that can happen when your panel card is expanded or it is collapsed. So like on your dashboards and all that, you may want to put in like an expand at runtime so that they're not like automatically getting in all the data, but only when you expand it, the data can be brought over onto the screen. So all of those events you can associate it with your behavior over here. You can put in basic comments of what your panel card does. And this a screenshot of the data is basically this is from the panel card grid. Panel card itself has only the epi binding, but more so the panel card grid is where like let's say we are trying to put in some grid which is associated with a BAQ or something like that. That is where we put it all in inside the grid model. But the panel card itself doesn't have this. It is just the epi binding inside data. And then you can personalize it, you can customize it. If you think you don't need it anymore, you just hide it. And the other important things are your action menu. You can enable an action menu over there, like from the panel cards, you can give in your own action data. And this is how you do it. Go into inside your action data, like just given your new ID, whatever you want to do it. And here is an example of how you can see it. Like let's say you have to create something like from this panel card. Let's say you want to do some further action, then you can give it in your action data here by giving it like an icon and an ID. And then this when this is clicked, you would want to associate it with some couple of events that'll happen when you click on it. So let's say this my action event is called test action. So from test action and on click, I'm going to give in some other further things that have to happen. In this case, I just gave like a simple example wherein when I'm clicking on my test action button, I'm just trying to display a message over here. This is just a simple example, but for a panel card, you can do multiple things. Like you may want to create new records inside your grid. You may want to delete some records, the selected records. You may want to update something. For anything and everything, just you can give in your own action menu items, and then you can associate it with a set of events for it to happen. And then the other thing on the panel card is your provider model. Personally, I've never used provider model on a panel card. Generally, inside a panel card, I would have used like a panel card grid and then given my provider model inside that panel card grid. But in either case, like if you want to give just you if you just have a panel card and then let's say you put in couple of fields inside that, you can give it a provider model even inside that by going into your provider model here. And this is the way that you give it, like whatever you're trying to do it, you can just give a slight description here. In my case, all I'm doing is from the order entry screen, I put up a new panel card, and what I'm trying to do is go into the customer service. From there, I'm trying to given this where clause that we see here, and then trying to return back the objects. So in this case, what I did is once I returned it back, this first text box is associated with my customer list, which is my new data view that I have created, and then the value from this business object, I'm going to return it here. I just wanted to say though, but generally this is not how we would use it. You would have put up like a data, like a panel card grid or something, and then associated the provider model over there. But this is just an option that you can also do it in this way from your panel card properties on the provider model. Once you start you're putting in new panel cards or panel card grids inside your application layer, what happens is it can be visible here on this on the tree on your left hand side, and you can just directly click on that and then it will take you to that particular panel card. Let's say it's like a really huge page and your panel card is somewhere down below. You don't have to keep scrolling. Once you click on this, it's directly going to take you to your panel card, and there's nothing additional that you need to do here. Just adding your panel cards itself would give you this kind of, like in your tree structure, it would give you those options to navigate from here. The other important thing here is your user defined component. User defined components, they are nothing but like something that you can reuse. Like, let's say you put in some couple of things together and you can reuse that on any of your page. The default one that Epicor has given us for the user defined components is your RV log, which is nothing but your review journal and log status. I'm not completely sure what these do, but these are just like text boxes that they put in inside one or inside one panel card, and then we can use this on any of your screen, on any of the App Studio layers. You can use it. So similarly, you can create your own user-defined components also. Let's say you have something that you want to use in multiple pages. Like a simple example that I took was, let's say you want to put in your logo on each and every page of your Kinetic forms. So in that case, what you can do is create your own user-defined component so that you don't have to keep doing this for each and every form. Create your own user-defined component by going into App Studio. In App Studio, apart from applications, there's another tab called Components where you can create your own new component. And when you click on this, you get an option to give in your own ID. In my case, I just named it as test UD component, and then you get your application studio where you can do whatever you want to do. And once you're done with that particular component, you can just directly publish it. And once it's published and then you go back to App Studio and components, you can see that your test UD component is going to come up over there. Apart from your RB log, which was the default thing, then you also get your test UD component that's going to come up here. So this way you can go into, now when I go back into my sales order entry and I see the user defined component, I see that my test UD component is directly available for me to use. I would have just dragged and dropped it and placed it onto my layer for it to be used. So in this case, what I did was I just put in like a simple some simple thing like, here you can include your logo or something like that. And then maybe, I would have wanted to use this on every page of my Kinetic forms. So this way you don't have to keep creating it again, but just do your own user defined component and drag and drop it onto your screen. So this is pretty much what I wanted to talk about today, the panel card properties and the user defined components. Any questions on this? We're going to be doing a series of App Studio things. So just keep looking out for anything that you would want to see, or just let us know if there's something in particular that you would want to see, and we can do something on that also.
From Trent, are the UD components specific to a form or layer, or will it appear in every form?
Every form. Once you have it published, then it becomes like one of those things that you can use it on any and every form on any layer. But important thing is it has to be published.
Thank you all for joining, and
Thank
we
you,
hope to
everyone.
see you again in the next one.